last-minute shake-up at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. Is okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as simple
Ryan.
as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Rick Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Rick Richey, and today I want to answer an email. So I got a really interesting email from somebody, and it's really asking about niches and what's your specialty. But then also, once I develop a specialty, how do I go about getting those clients? So I'm going to read the email that was sent to me, and then I want to talk about it. I want to have a conversation about it because I feel like these things are important. When people ask questions and they want to know how to build their business, this is vitally important for who we are as fitness professionals. And I want to help you be able to build your business. I want you to be strong in what you do. I want you to have a strong foundation in your education and your understanding of human movement science, the applications that you need to do a niche, because you can't just say, I'm going to train these people and not have any specific education in how to work with that specific population. But then you got to get the business. So the email is this. Hi, my name is Anonymous Annie, and I'm an NASM CPT based in New York City. I've reached out via Instagram previously. I love the podcast, especially when you share past stories involving performing. I, too, am an actor, performer, and dancer, which sort of brings me to my question today. How do you reach a niche within a niche? And sometimes I'm going to say niche, and sometimes I'm going to say niche. And I don't care which one you do or which one you do. Which niche, which niche. It doesn't matter. For example, she goes on to say, let's say you want to train athletes, niche, but more specifically, basketball players, specific niche. And as a trainer, you are already working within an environment that reaches a lot of sports players. Disagree with that to a large degree, some of which are basketball players, but you really want to work with them specifically, either due to your background or your depth of knowledge of the sport. What advice do you have for taking those next steps, finding a niche within a niche? Another example might be new moms, more specifically, moms who run or who want to train for a race. I work at a facility. I see a lot of performers, particularly Broadway and professional dancers. I'm trying to assert myself as someone who can assist in cross-training them. Let me know if you have any additional questions or anything that I'm not, or if anything I'm communicating is unclear. All right, Anonymous Annie, thank you so much for this message. And I love the idea of it. So I wrote a response, and I'm going to read the response I sent via email. And then I'm going to do a little commercial, and then we're going to have a conversation about it. So here's my response. Niche and specialized niches require far more than education and abilities. It requires networking. My network is the only way I ever trained athletes or celebrities. There are physical therapists and chiros and massage therapists, athletic trainers, orthopedic specialists that work with Broadway performers. You need to get in with those people. This is better than having friends with a Broadway being friends with a Broadway performer, because they recommend you and they have access. These professionals have access to more people in need. Also, most performers aren't making a ton of money even on Broadway. So being connected with leading performers is also important. Good luck. I know it's always hard to break into a scene that you are that you are in, but only peripherally. Let me know what you think your next steps are. This episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. I think NASM One, that read goes right into a conversation that I want to have about specializations. Yes, so you have a focus, a specialization. Now, NASM does not have a Broadway performer specialization, but let's go back to sports, right? So we do have two things that are going to be very important for athletes, if that's who you want to work with. We've got the corrective exercise specialist and the performance enhancement specialist. Now, there are other specialties that we have that aren't as big of certifications, but education. So we have some content about basketball and working with basketball players. We have content when it comes to golf. We have content when it comes to MMA. And so it's not about, we don't teach you how to be a better basketball player. It is about the training that goes into playing basketball and how you can do that better. It's not teaching you how to swing a golf club better. That is not what NASM does. NASM goes into content about fitness requirements and fitness and mobility requirements that are going to benefit you as a golfer. MMA conditioning specialist doesn't teach you MMA. We're not in there saying, all right, so make sure you know how to do the osotogare to do your takedown, and then you're going to fly that, maintain the sleeve so you can go into the arm bar and make sure that the ground and pound is on plate. That's not what we do. That's not what we do. It is the conditioning that goes in to that sport. So any of these sports that we're working at, we're not teaching you how to coach the sport at all. It is a strength, conditioning, preparation, making sure your aerobic and anaerobic needs are being met, that you're doing the cardiovascular, you're doing the work capacity that's there to support your clients. And all of this is very important and you need to have it. But that's like saying once you get your personal training certification, that's all you need. And then you can just go, like this person's in New York City. You can go into Times Square, you can raise your hand, say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm finally certified. Come and get me. Come and get me. Just raise my hand and people are going to give you money and say, yes, train me. No, the education's vital. It's important, but it doesn't mean you get the business. And I've known many people that work with high-end celebrities, that work with athletes and even professional athletes where their actual credentials are not very good. Now, majority of them have stellar credentials, but I've met some where I'm like, you got this gig and you got it the same way people with an education need to get it. How? Through your network. It has to be that way. You have to create a network with your peers, with people within the industry that you want to go into as your specialization. So if you want to work with people who are on Broadway, there's several things that have to happen. You have to have credentials to be able to work with a Broadway performer. You need to be insured if you're working with somebody who's going on stage 8 days a week or 8 performances a week, and they're doing it at the highest level, and you drop a dumbbell on their toe, you better be insured for that. But how are you going to get them as clients? And that's one of those things that I think are really important. This is what I suggest you do. Now, I'm going to talk about this in terms of working with Broadway performers. So you got to be in the right place. So for those of you who are like, yes, I want to work with football players. All right, football players is a hooked up profession. And if you don't have an education, then you ain't working with football players at any high level. And you are definitely not working with them if you don't have experience working with other football players at lower levels. So don't just think, I love football, I want to work with football players. and you get your NASM CPT, and there you go. That's not going to get you there. So you're going to have to go a lot deeper. And especially you're working with like NFL players, you're going to have to get degrees in the field and things like that. It's very rare that you have somebody without a degree in the field that works with somebody on that level. Now, Broadway is different because it doesn't have that type of ambiance around it. Now, you might want to do something like this. Go in and find, and you can Google search this. Google, how do I find a physical therapist that works with Broadway performers, as if you are a Broadway performer? And then you find that physical therapist, and then you maybe find something wrong with you. Right? And if you're anything like me, you ain't got to look very far. I've been like, I've got a hitch in my giddy up, and I want to go to this person, but this person sees Broadway performers. And because I fancy that, then I'd like to work with somebody who works with them. And then you start to develop a relationship, a professional relationship, where you say, I am a personal trainer. I have these certifications. And when you work with this person, you got to make sure that the person that you're working with, they see your dedication to taking care of yourself. They see your dedication in reaching out and following up. And if they say, hey, I'm not going to refer anybody to you as a personal trainer, then, don't keep knocking on the door, but go find somebody else. This is how the networking really should work. You got to find those people. You got to find the PTs. You got to find the chiropractors. And you might even say, to your physical therapist who works with people in that Broadway performer community, do you know any massage therapists, or do you know any chiropractors that work within that field? And then go get a massage and go get adjusted from the LMT and from the chiro, and work your same magic. Work your same magic. I do this. I'm a personal trainer. I have this as my background, which is probably a dance background or some type of performance background, because that's why you were drawn to them. And you say, I have since become a personal trainer. I've been doing it for a while. And my ultimate goal is focusing on people that need to get stronger as a performer, to build their endurance, to be able to limit the amount of injury that they have by building strength and their stabilizers, making sure that they have the mobility, that they've got the strength, and they got the endurance to do what they need to do on stage 8 days a week, or 8 performances a week. I'd like to work with those people, and that might be your way to get in. Now, I'm not saying it's the way, because we talked about going to networking groups and things like that. But this is what I believe to be a strong way for you to develop relationships with people. And by the way, just because you found one physical therapist that works with performers and they decided they didn't want to refer people, find another one. And the next time you need somebody to work on your ankle or your SI joint, just go to a different physical therapist and see if that's a relationship that you can start working. So we're talking about developing your niche, but also each time you go, like, have you stayed up to date? This is the type of stuff that I read on a regular basis. This is what I study. These are the people that I've worked with. These are the professional educations that I like to go to. Every year I attend this because I like how these people work with athletes, and I take that same concept and I apply it to the dancers that I work with. This is a great opportunity for you. And so Anonymous Annie, I think it's a great opportunity for you because, number one, you're in the right place for your market. Your market, you want to work with people who are performing on Broadway. Great. You live in New York City, in Manhattan. That's a solid start. Now, what's next, UL? You've got your NASM CPT. What other education do you have that will then fortify your education, fortify your credentialing, and therefore allow people to trust you, people who are in position to refer you? And if you don't have strong credentials, you probably aren't going to have it. And then what are some of the other things that you've done? So you got to work with dancers. So there are people that are on Broadway that need help too, and developing them. And any of those that end up moving on and going to more advanced, whether it's off Broadway or regional dance or American Ballet Theater or the New York City Ballet or whoever, wherever they're going, are you working with individuals? And that might be setting up and reaching out to people at Juilliard and say, I'm a fitness professional. I like to work with dancers and performers, and provide a discount rate onto the message board at Juilliard if you can somehow find out to get in there. These are all opportunities for you to develop your niche, but then find them, because it's not whether or not you've just developed it. It's whether or not you can find it. And finding the people that you want as your clients, because you talked about a niche and then you talked about a specialty. I work with people who are athletes, specifically basketball. I like working with new moms, but specifically new moms that run. Anonymous Annie, that is the best thing you can do. The more specialized you can get, you cut out a lot of people who aren't looking, who aren't new moms, who aren't running. But what you definitely do is you speak directly to the audience that you want to work with in this scenario, which are new moms that want to run or that want to do some type of, you mentioned like games or something like that. So whether or not that is prepping them for whether it's running or prepping them to do high rocks or whatever it is. Like, are you a new mom and do you do this? And that's what I do. Are you a bride-to-be getting ready within the next year to get married? That's my niche. That's who I work with. And then they're gone. But guess what? People get married all the time. So then you get a whole new group of people that are coming in, people referring people to come in and see you. The more narrow you can get, the actual better for your business it'll be, because you can still train people that aren't that, but that's not what you market. You don't market to everybody in the world that wants just any old goal. You market to a very specific niche. And then you can also take on clients who are just regular old clients. So it doesn't mean you can't train them, but who you market, who is your client avatar? What is the ideal person that you see yourself training, and dig in and go for that? And then you've got to start looking at, what's that mean for advertising? What does that mean? And you can geo-target, and you can geo-target with your social media, do it from your computer so they don't charge you an arm and a leg to do it from the app store, and go in and, let's say you're using Instagram, tag every single Broadway house, Broadway performer, all of those words that you can put in where you are targeting, limit the age range, limit to a very specific niche within your advertisement, and then pay some money and send it out there. So even if they haven't met you through their PT or their chiro or their massage therapist, you are popping up on their feed. And then if they ever hear about you from somebody they know, easy breezy, they're like, I've actually seen this person before. You've already developed an idea of trust with them. This is an opportunity for you, but you got to find how you want to do it. And this is how I suggest moving forward. All right, Anonymous Annie, thank you for sending your message. And y'all, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family, and leave a review if you don't mind. It's actually really helpful leaving a review, and it helps other people be able to find us. If you want to reach out to me like Anonymous Annie did, hit me up on Instagram at dr.rickrichey or email rick.richey@nasm.org. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. Thanks for listening. This has been the NASM-CPT Podcast.